Stories Podcast, your number one show for everything guitar.
Hey everybody! Hello to the people on YouTube who are watching us live. Dan, I am so excited to be here this week. I look forward to this every week, and then it gets to half an hour before the podcast and all the tech stuff goes wrong and I freak out for about half an hour. And then we finally get live and I have such a wonderful time. So welcome everybody. And Dan, welcome to you too as well, sir. Good to see you, mate. How is your week? Oh, I'll go first, okay? I don't want to talk about it. You? Oh, apparently your audio's not on again, Dan. Hang on, I'm going to fix that now. Sorry, everybody. You should have that right now. Hello, Dan. I'm sorry about that. So we were talking. In fact, maybe you can just guess what Dan was saying then. He was saying that it's wonderful to be back, and he was asking me how I am. And those were my answers. So can you hear Dan? All right, so we're there. Let's try that. Kowalski. That's silly. That's silly. You're coming up on everything. Well, hello. Welcome to the Andy Show. Can you just write things, Dan, and we'll just we'll stick that on there. I don't know why Dan's not coming up. He should be. Maybe Dan should start talking, and then I can test his audio. Oh yeah, Dan's saying some amazing stuff. They've just guessed what you said. Jason, we'll have to lip read now. Guys, I have no idea what's going on. What I'm going to do is that, and hopefully that'll fix it. So hello everybody. Welcome to the live stream of the podcast. Dan, what's up with the road worn Strat? What's up with the double typing? Okay, it's going. I don't know. Someone needs to let us know. Alfonso, it's going very well. Thank you very much. It's not finished. I'll bring it to you soon. I promise. So is Dan there? Let me know if Dan's there. I mean, I don't know why. There's Dan's Skype. Oh, wait a minute. What about now?
Hello, guys. Can you hear me now?
That's got to be it. If that's not it, then I think I know what
Yeah.
Heck yes.
All right.
Right, let's go back to the beginning of the 5 minutes then.
Yeah. No, but let's do a proper introduction.
Yes.
All right. Your turn.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Guitar Stories Podcast. We're back. It is week number, is it 3 of the live streaming, Dan?
Yeah. No. Yeah, 3.
Yeah, my goodness. Welcome, everybody on YouTube. Welcome, everybody that's in the chat right now.
And also welcome to everyone who's listening on the podcast. It's good to have you back.
Yeah. So wherever you are listening, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying sane, because I haven't been this week. I've been going absolutely nuts, Dan.
I know.
It's been a tough week this week. We're on lockdown back again in Austria, and I've been looking forward to this podcast all week since we podcasted last week. In fact, last week was an interesting one, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. So more technical difficulties, but now we are pretty much
Yeah.
We're good.
If anyone's an OBS user, there are so many ways in which I can screw this up that I've found many of them, and I'm slowly getting to the bugs of me learning how to do it. So welcome everybody in the chat. I'm going to say a quick few names, shout out, then we're going to get on with the topics of the week, etc., etc. And if you say anything interesting, of course, we'll shout it out. So I'm going to say hello to 3 people. Then Dan, you want to say hello to 3 people? So we, choose your 3 favorites.
All right.
I'm going to say hello to Max Solo Music. Welcome. I'm going to say hello to Get Jervis, Mr. Jason Jervis of the country of Wales. Welcome. And I'm going to say welcome to... I can't choose between Valeria, Sarang, and Michiel, so there's 3 in 1.
Boom, you did it. All right, then I'll say hello to one of the premier guests, like the first-time visitor, Philip Kowalski.
First-time viewer. Hello.
Yeah, first-time viewer. Who else? Michael Lerner, some last-minute IKEA shopping. So he's been following your Instagram, obviously. Hello, Michael. Who else is there? Jason. Hey, Jason. Good to have you. What do you say? When I try to use OBS, I always get things screwed up. Yeah, well, our story in one sentence.
Yeah.
But we made it, and it's good.
Yeah. And, of course, Poo Ninja's in the chat, but, that doesn't need to be shouted out. That doesn't count as either one of us. That's a standard. It's so welcome to have you, Poo. Dan's got a new webcam this week, haven't you, Dan?
There's a lovely webcam.
That's what Dan really looks like.
It's actually Andy's.
I sent it to him. I let him borrow it.
Yeah.
And then I found out that my daughter needed it for online ballet lessons. So I'm in trouble. Guitars, Dan.
I imagine your daughter sitting there, crying.
Mate. Yeah, no, I just managed to put, I sorted it in the end. I'm a wizard. Nobody knows more about OBS tech than me. Oh, man. There are 3 Jasons in the chat. Just, there we go. Dan, have you had a good week, sir?
Yeah, quite good. I spent my weekend, doing construction work in the house. So, no guitars for me. Just cables and concrete and woodworks. So home improvement, but actually the house is currently almost empty. It's just like the basic structure, and now we're trying to make it nice and clean and everything. So
you're just trying to do your man cave, is what you're saying, really?
Yeah.
That's
the rest is just like the icing on the cake. Yeah, the man cave is like the heart of the
man
house.
Cave,
yeah.
Mattress on the floor for the kids, microwave. That's it. That's all you need.
There you go.
And a working toilet, maybe. That would be useful.
With toilet paper. By the way, are there any shortages of toilet paper in Austria at the moment?
Not that I know of. I will keep you updated on that. I have the hashtag toilet paper shortage alert in Austria on my phone. Okay. And if it starts screaming, then I may have to go a little early today. Yeah.
Awesome. All right,
Dan. Let's do some news. Yes, it worked. Now, Dan's gone big again. We had this issue last week. As soon as I change something, Dan will go massive. Now, if I make Dan smaller, Dan will, of course, go really small. But hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Behave,
That's
Dan.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Just play around with me and my feelings.
I'll put you over there. Look. Hello. There he is. We didn't really do much gear stuff last week because I was panicking on the tech side. But there has been some new releases. One thing we didn't talk about last week, which we should have, was the Generator 3 from Rev, the new Rev Amp Mark 3. Is that what they're calling it? Yeah. You got the name right earlier. Yeah. What's the name?
Yeah, like the Mark 3, the Generator Mark 3. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm hoping to get one in the studio at some point to add to my long list of videos that I need to shoot. But yeah, it looks. I mean, it's a Rev Amp, so without sort of judging it before I even touched it, then it's got to be pretty good because I don't believe Rev would release anything that's rubbish.
Yeah.
Have you got much experience with Rev?
Not at all. That's why I was so intrigued. I mean, the specs, they're brutal. I mean, they packed so much stuff in there, and I only hear like the most positive statements about the Rev amps. So I definitely got to check that one out. And the price is something that I was surprised. It clocks in at 2.7K, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So considering all the features, it's not too much. I mean, yeah, it's loaded. It's like 2 pages of specs.
When it comes to Rev as a company and a level of quality, all I have to tell you is that Chris Barocci has one and plays one as his main rig.
Well,
there you go. That's all you need to know on that subject.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
speaking of amps, Dan, do you want to talk about the amp that was released that we know a little bit about?
A little bit, yeah.
Here it is.
The new Mesa Boogie rectifier.
Look at that. That's hot.
Ooh, yes.
That does things to my nether regions, to my Netherlands, that it probably shouldn't for an amp.
To the Badlands.
I was talking to Jamie Humphreys today, and he has one, and he's had one for a while, and he's not being able to share any information with me, as if he can't trust me. But finally, he called me on my phone with, I think it was WhatsApp or something, and he said, "Listen to this," and I heard the rectifier being played through the iPhone mic and then through my iPhone speaker. So I can tell you that with those audio qualities, it sounded flippin' amazing.
That's very good.
It sounded really
Actually,
good.
There's a very good product demo already. I mean, Boogie is just stellar when it comes to those videos. It's always so spot on, and the sound is so good. So there's no doubt that when they release a video about the new amp that shows all the tonal variances, it's just going to be gorgeous. And again, they nailed it. What I find remarkable is that like 2 things. First of all, the whole appearance, like Boogie is kind of revamped. Mm-hmm. They kind of present themselves a little bit more modernized, a little bit more like, I don't know, like more modern, more digital age. It's still a tube amp, but the whole appearance is more modern, and it's also represented in the size of the amp. I mean, it's a rather small rectifier. It's not one of those flagship kind of amps that you can hardly carry around. And also, I found it interesting that it's the first rectifier using EL34s.
Yeah.
Per default. And I never got that. Personally, I'm an EL34 guy. So I own a Lone Star, for instance, and the first thing I did was swapping those 6L6s against EL34s because the tone was just better from my point of view. Mm-hmm. It's just like, comparing those, and I had the chance to compare those A and B. It was just like good and much, much better. And so I can totally see why they went for the, I don't know, more British, more, I don't know how you would describe it. Just it's a different flavor. It's a more like British flavor, basically, in tone. So it's interesting to see that.
I haven't found like the most important part for me was the tech that's inside it. It's sort of up to date. So it's got 2 cab clones in it, or it's got a cab clone where you can have 2 different IRs, so a different IR on each channel. So. And this is coming from what Jamie told me, and he has one. He was there with it, and I've seen a little bit of Ola Englund's video, and Jamie's now added it to his "If I Was to Tour" rig, then this would be the amp that he's taking with him. He really favors the cab clone and really favors the tech that's in the amp. What I like, what Mesa have done, is they've included tech. So XLR outs and stuff that you can play without any speakers, but they've kept it quite simple. And I'm a real big fan of 2-note stuff. I have the Captor X, the Cab M, the 2-notes live. What's it called? Yeah, the Torpedo Live. Whoopsie daisy. And I love the tweakability, but I only ever kind of use 3 presets, or maybe a 4th, and it's just I need very little in my rig. I like to keep it constant for the channel. And what I like about the cab clone is that it is extremely simple, which of course you sacrifice tweakability, but you gain simplicity. And I love limitations when it comes to things like this, because I've spent many an evening tweaking the tiniest little thing that I didn't understand. I understand more these days. I'm learning every time I turn something on, but we've proven tonight with the podcast now being on OBS. I think if it was the simpler something is, the less chance something's going to go wrong, and therefore you can concentrate on actually playing guitar, actually listening to the tone, and your performance, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So Sarang is in the chat saying it wasn't it 8 IRs. I think there's a selection of 8 IRs that you can use, but you can have one on each channel, so it's independent. So you could have the same cab, say a 4x12 on each channel, or you could have a 4x12 on one channel and a 2x12 on the other. I don't know what the actual connections are. The price, Dan, have you heard about the price?
Not yet. Do you guys know already?
I do, but I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it because I haven't seen the price announced anywhere, and I don't want to. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But what I will say is it's not as expensive as I thought it would be.
That sounds promising.
In the sense that I think I've heard it, albeit via an iPhone speaker, and an iPhone microphone, but I saw the smile on my friend's face, and if he's happy, then it's good. And when he told me the price, when he sort of dealt somewhere near the price of what it might be, I was very, very surprised. It's cheaper than the Rev, let's put it that way.
All right. Well, that puts it in perspective. They might still have to figure out what the final price will be, because with all the stuff that's going on, exchange rate and Brexit and all that stuff, you got to be pretty careful how to price your new products in order not to overprice or outprice yourself. Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah.
Michael says, I suggest a lot of more money in Europe compared to the US. That might actually not be the case, because Boogie is now distributing themselves in Europe. So there's no distributor cut anymore. So when they are smart, they probably price themselves more competitive, and they're not like charging almost $2,000 for a 4x12 rectifier cab.
I think they kind of need to price it in I don't want to say cheap. I want to say lower than you'd pay for a Lone Star, lower than Mesa is renowned for, because it feels like a kind of gateway drug. Like, okay, here's this new rectifier. What do the other ones sound like? And then someone who may never have bought a Mesa might go into them.
Yep. I mean, the build. To be fair, I mean, even if we talk about the 4x12 cabinet at $2,000, I mean, that's an insane price. But the build quality for those Boogies, it's still spot on. And having dealt with Boogie for quite some time, when we were distributing them, I heard a lot of stories about artists from other brands that I'm not going to mention, that had to bring their cabinets to carpenters and have them fixed after tours or even prior to tours. And with the Boogie stuff, you just ship it out. When Rammstein called, I think one night in Paris, something blew up and we had to ship something immediately so they could do the next show 2 or 3 days after that. And we shipped it, they got it, and it worked. So, and this is something that I highly value. If you just, if you have products and if you've got gear that is so reliable, you can just basically take it off the wall or take it out of the warehouse, and it will just be, it will just work and it will be there for you. Yeah. And unfortunately for a lot of cabinets from, let's say, more affordable brands, sometimes that isn't the case. I'm not saying they're bad, but they are probably more designed to fit like the bedroom warrior and the player who's rehearsing and using that on smaller gigs, not necessarily ones that play like longer tours or even big stadiums. So Boogies are really pro tools. Yeah.
You just you might want to pick up that name that you dropped, Rammstein called. Rammstein called.
Not Rammstein. Rammstein's tech. Yeah. He's like, Dan, we're in trouble.
Dan, Super Dan to the rescue.
Yeah, no, not really.
Rammstein cannot function without Dan. You heard it here. You're like the 5th member of Rammstein. How many members are in Rammstein?
Oh, come on. Give me a break. No. That was like, No, but they are very picky when it comes to their gear. I mean,
I'm sure they are.
Richard, for instance, he's got so many amps, but he like boogies. They are a main part of his sound. That's definitely for a reason. So when they call, you leave everything, you put everything aside, and you just make sure that it's happening. Yeah.
All right. Apparently, we've got some people in the chat listening from the beginning of the podcast because they can't hear you, but Dan does come in and we can hear him currently, so I don't know who I'm talking to there, possibly inventing a time machine halfway through. And let's take that, let's see if I can figure out how to get rid of that picture. There we go. And then this is super interesting for me.
What is that?
That's the question, Daniel. A very small amount of people know.
All right. Who would that be?
Not me. So I know, obviously, some of the guys at Boss know, I hope.
Hello, Guillaume, by the way.
Oh.
You just spoiled it. Oh, the Wasa Fuzz.
Well, it's silver. Oh, my goodness. Dan, we've had a super chat from Alex Vanderpass. Alex, thank you so much. I will put that towards... I don't know, that Boss pedal probably. So this is the FZ2.
All right.
Which is silver.
Mm-hmm.
And a very classic Boss pedal, which we'll be talking about a little bit later in the show. But as it's silver and very, very good. Like this, the story behind the FZ2 is like it's one of those pedals that is quite expensive now. So I think I paid like €250 for this, or 200 at least.
That's a lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee money. So keep those super chats coming, Alex. We need another 19 of those babies. And but it lives up to the hype. As a Fuzz fanatic, it is amazing. However, Boss have kind of said it is not that. That's people's main guess, the FZ2 Wasa Craft, which would be a good idea because the FZ5 is not 5 or 3. The other ones are not as good. This is the motherlode. This is the one you want. If they did
has there ever been like a Wasa version of the Fuzz already? No. So that will be a first.
That would be a first.
All right.
So people have been asking for also the HM2, Have a Mighty Distortion. People have been asking for that for I think as long as the Metal Zone. Boss have neither denied nor confirmed it, but they've said it's something they've never done before. Or let me get the quote. Like nothing we've ever created before is what Boss said. So. I mean,
is that just marketing blah blah, or is that something that we can?
I don't see Boss as a company that does marketing blah blah because they're kind of like understated, if anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd expect that from certain brands where they, but Boss is such a small company that I don't. I'd be surprised if it isn't something extra special.
Did you just say Boss is such a small company?
in terms of people that work at the company, people probably think there's thousands of people that work at Boss, and there isn't.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
Not in terms of it's a tiny little mum and pop shop, that just sells a few pedals out of Japan.
Mr. and Mrs. Boss both hand soldering their pedals.
Yeah.
Drinking coffee from their mug that say "I am the boss." I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. Oh, Alex, I'm also not a Fuzz guy, but Andy is like Mr. Fuzz.
I got the hair.
He's got the hair, and also when at night he wears his costume, he's Mr. Fuzz.
I am.
Yeah.
Fuzz guy.
So, yeah. The Fuzz guy. Nice. So
yeah, sorry.
Basically, but what's the bottom line about the Wasa Craft pedal?
Bottom line is, there's a few people that claim to know, but no one's leaked anything as far as I know. I'm super excited because maybe I'll get one in the studio, you know. I haven't spoken to Boss about it at all. I'm still working on some other stuff for Boss in the background. But any Wasa Craft pedal is interesting, as long as it's not another tuner, because that was damn silly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't know. But people in the chat, does anyone hazard a guess of what that Wasa Craft pedal may be? Because I'm super, super interested in what you might think it is. What haven't Boss done, Dan? Like, if something they've never done before.
I really can't tell.
I have no idea.
Clue.
I have no idea.
Max is stating he doesn't think it's a fuzz. Max, what do you think it will be? Any guesses?
Yeah, I don't think it's a kettle. I don't want to know what it isn't. What is it? So, I think it's a stomp box. All right, I'm going to do something very special now, Dan. It may or may never happen ever again, but we're going to talk about bass guitars. I apologize.
Why?
I apologize. We're talking about basses because Michiel has accused us of being bassist. And,
we are bassist.
We are bassist, yeah. I can't get rid of the boss
Absolutely.
thing. There it is. There we go. There's a bass. In fact, there's two. That's the newly released Harley Benton MB4 and MB5.
I was about to ask if it's a new Stingray from Music Man. All right.
Well,
I see some similarities.
Yeah, I can see how you got there.
Yeah. It's a super wild guess.
See how you got there.
But the finish looks super nice. What is that? Is it a matte finish?
Yeah, it's like a matte black. I've not touched one, but it certainly looks matte black. In fact, if I bring up this, I think I've got another picture. Where is it? There we go. And I'll move that down a little bit just to cover the chat there.
Yeah.
Do you know the price of that, Dan?
Nope.
Do you want to do you want to hazard a guess? Do you want to hazard a guess on the price of that?
Well, first I need the specs. What's the pickup? Is that Roswell?
It will be a Roswell
big
pickup. Yeah, or at least it's not a Seymour Duncan or anything. They've not thrown in anything super special in there.
All right, let's make it a game. Throw a couple of specs at me.
Okay, I'm trying. Okay, it's a bolt-on neck.
All right, fair enough.
Lightweight basswood body.
All right. Yeah.
Maple neck as well, with a Rose Acer fingerboard and 21 frets, 4 machine heads or
What's
5.
the fingerboard? Sorry, the fingerboard
Rose
is that
Acer.
Is that like a Richlight kind of equivalent?
No, I should know the answer to that, Dan. Rose Acer is it is
It should be.
No, blah 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 blah. I don't know. I can't remember. But it is.
Do you guys know what's that material? It sounds somewhat artificial to me, like rosewood equivalent. If I would take a wild guess,
I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. It could be Rosacker.
Rosacker? That sounds like a place in Austria.
Yeah, I think I got drunk there one night.
Right behind Andy's house. If you go out of the door, take a sharp left, straight down the hall, and then take a sharp right, then you're there.
Don't forget your schnitzel.
All right, what? I'm tiny again. That's good.
Oh, great, Tiny Dan.
Yeah.
Someone's postulating that it could be. Isn't it something like baked maple?
Nah.
I think it's baked. I remember doing a review of something, and it's
Why would they like call it close to rosewood when it's actually baked maple?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Actually, let me take a guess about the price. Maybe it's $239.
Nope.
What's the price?
Keep guessing because I can't remember. Okay.
Well, if it's roasted maple, it would definitely like more going towards the €300 direction, because that's expensive. But I don't think it will be like roasted maple or something like that.
Okay. Ignore
So
the roasted maple. Ignore the roasted maple thing.
Yeah.
That's throwing you off seriously.
Yeah. So like assuming it's a kind of rosewood equivalent for the fretboard, a bolt-on maple neck with a, is it basswood body?
Yeah.
Yeah, 250-ish.
4-string is 129, the 5-string is 139.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all.
So if you had a 3-string, it would be 119, judging by that. The 2-string would be 109. 99, you get a 1-string. Brilliant.
There you go.
I only ever eat... No, don't say that. So yeah, let's go to Michiel in the chat. Michiel guessed at 159. That's a good guess. Michiel, our resident bass expert with all our bass needs. What do you think of that? And anybody else, of course, as well, can also jump in on that. 129, 139 for a guitar that looks like a Stingray. Sorry, a bass guitar.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the market for a inexpensive guitar, you probably ain't gonna go wrong. One of the main points of criticism when it comes to the Harley Bentons would probably be the rosewood pickups, but I've never touched a bass from Harley Benton, so I couldn't say for sure. No.
I have touched a few basses from Harley Benton, as you'd probably guess. I'm just trying to make you big again, Dan.
All right.
And
great again.
And great again, of course. Even the PB75, I think is the name, the cheapest P bass. That's good. It's not even good for 70 for the price. It's good, you know. If you ever want to check out Harley Benton basses, the person to go to at the moment is Patrick Hunter, and I hope that Michiel doesn't mind me saying that. Patrick Hunter is the man to go for Harley Benton basses. He rocks them left, right, up, down, BA start. I still can't make you big because I've locked it. Right.
No worries. No worries.
You'll probably go back to being slightly bigger in a minute anyway. Oh no, I've moved you. The power, Dan, the power I have. There we go.
Oh, there's an interesting thing. Max Solo says he disagrees on the Roswell. Totally fine with that because pickups are completely subjective. I'm not the biggest fan of, let's say, the Hyperions on the AZs too. So they're good pickups, they're versatile, but it's not my personal taste. So I'm totally fine with that. But the point I was making that whenever I tried the Roswell pickups, that was probably the weakest spot of the instrument when I played it. Like construction was rock solid and hardware was good, but the Roswell pickups would probably been like the first thing that I would have touched and replaced. That was basically what I was wanting to say with that. No generalization.
I agree with what you said about the pickups. I disagree with what you said about it being the biggest thing. The biggest thing with Harley Benton is quality control.
Well, I don't have too much experience with that.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, you know, at that price, you do sacrifice, as with any brand, including all of the brands in that price range that I can think of, really. You sometimes, I'm not saying you sacrifice quality control, but you will get a few lemons, you know, 'cause you can't check everything. Then, of course, I agree with you on the pickups for sound. Hardware's normally good, and strings are good. Strings are really good. So I think that's a solid bass. I might take a look at that one.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Why are we talking about basses?
How
Enough bass talk.
I don't know. We spent already too much time. How do you feel about? I don't want to like put you on the spot, but how do you feel about like the whole one-on-one copy thing? Is that something where you feel a bit like weird of like playing a copy of a bass where there is already a budget version available, or is it something that you don't mind?
It's a good question.
I mean, it's maybe a question for live crowd as well.
So
because that's
what's the question? What's the question, John? What is the question?
The question is like, how do you feel about playing a copy? Let's say a copy of a copy, because it's basically a knockoff of a US version, and there is already a budget version. So
yeah.
Is that something you don't mind, or I don't know?
Again, I my gut says I don't really have a problem with that. But I feel like I should, you know. I'm also trying to move you around in the chat. Sorry. I think that, I mean, I have a Squire Classic Vibe P bass that covers most of the things I need. I've recently learned that that's not the case anymore, so I am looking at another bass for the studio. But certainly for
There goes the
129,
money.
yeah, there goes the money. I actually think, and Henning turned me onto this, you should spend more money on a bass than you should on a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Interesting point.
And his reason, I haven't really thought about it. Maybe we could bring it into the chat, see what the guys in the chat think. But I'm pretty sure Henning and McKeel were having this conversation, in fact, that a guitar covers a narrower range of frequencies than a bass. If you think of bass notes and then popping and slapping, it would make sense that, I don't know if that's true, but what I can say is that I have, as we counted last week, 19 guitars in this room. Sorry, 17 guitars in this room, 1 bass 6 and 2 bass guitars. And the bass guitars are the cheapest guitars in this room. Or at least one of the cheapest, you know? And I've only got two basses. Surely I could afford to offload a few guitars and get a decent bass. And if that were the case, I wouldn't have an issue playing a copy of a copy. I might have an issue playing on stage if I was in a professional band. Is that an answer? That's an answer. That's my final answer.
Yep. Gotcha.
Guillaume is here.
What else do we have to say?
Guillaume's here. Yeah. He just says every guitar shape is a copy of a copy at this point. True.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely true. Or not. We've got a pedal. A pedal, which is how I say pedal, because that's how Guillaume says it.
Pedal.
The Hydra from Keeley.
Ooh, that would probably go well with the Echo.
Look at all those sockets.
Yes.
I mean, I only need 2, in and out. Sometimes only out.
Yeah.
Tremolo and reverb in 1. So that is certainly interesting in the sense that one of my favorite pedals, Guillaume will agree with me, is the Flint from Strymon. It's just absolutely will always be on my pedal board until something knocks it off, of course. But currently, I could not do without the Flint. It's just brilliant. So I'd be really interested to hear the Hydra against the Flint. Oh, small Dan's back. And, really small Dan. And I get the feeling that the Hydra is... Dan's back to normal! I get the feeling the Hydra is a bit more experimental, whereas the Flint is sort of a piece of gear that is more studio-oriented, sort of more reliable. It's reverb, and it's got models of it on it. The Hydra appears to be more experimental, more weird, should I say.
All right. So, because we've been going over that topic last week. So, do you think the Hydra will also be like a very good live pedal to create those kind of ambient-ish sounds? Let's say the Guillaume living room sounds.
I mean, Guillaume's in the chat. He could probably answer that a lot better than I can. And I haven't played the pedal, but looking at it, it's got an expression pedal in, it's stereo and mono outs, of course, tap tempo. So there's stuff in there that you need for live use, such as the tap tempo is extremely useful on that. I'm not sure if the Flint has tap tempo. I don't know. I've never used it because it's just always I like just sitting it at the back. It's always there in my effects loop.
Speaking of, what is your, like, if you can give us a super quick rundown, what is the signal chain that you currently use?
I currently have it's a bit fiddly, but at the moment I'm running the Strobo Stomp HD from Peterson for my tuning needs. I've got a Rev G3 for my high gain. I've got a Messiah Drive, which is a Plexi-style pedal from Chevtone Effects. I've got the Antares from Tate Effects as my low gain. And then in the effects loop, I always run the Flint, mostly just the reverb, but sometimes the trem if I'm going a bit more vintage. And then I also use an ethereal from Wampler for something a bit crazier. Right. That will be changing soon, because I'm picking up a few other pieces of gear to make it more usable. But that's my standard rig that I know will do what I want to do.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
So I don't know much about the Hydra in the sense that I haven't played it, but it's new, it's there, and that's probably it for gear this week, Dan, isn't it?
Yeah, it screams for a demo on your channel.
Screams.
So
actually, I've never worked with Keeley before. Keeley have never reached out to me, so I absolutely love to do that. And if anyone knows, Mr. Keeley, then just send him a WhatsApp and.
Hey Rob, there's that dude.
There's that dude.
Austria.
Dude with the hair. You have some new gear this week, don't you? Don't show it. Don't show it because it is, of course. Don't tell Dan's wife.
Look at that.
What are you holding, Dan?
That is the new PGM Micro.
Oh, it's so sus. So sus.
So sus, yeah. It's basically a shrinked version of the regular PGM 100. Super cool paint job. Maple neck. And it's nice. It plays like butter. It's more like a guitar that I mean, if you would find a comparison, it feels like as if you played a guitar with a capo on the second fret.
All right. So
the strings are much looser, and but it's very nice. I didn't buy it for me. I bought it for my daughter. So
yeah, and she's gone to bed now.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I didn't buy it yet. I just took it with me to check it out. But I'm definitely going to buy it because it just she tried it today and it felt right for her with the small hands. I mean, she's almost 4 now. I wanted to play the guitar as well, but never really got along with Daddy's like big guitars. So that's definitely a good instrument, but also good for traveling. I know a couple of guys. I think Andre's in the chat too, who take those guitars out for traveling. So they have something to do the widdly thing when they are like on vacation or maybe even on the tour bus.
Can we see it again? Just hold it up a little.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, I really dig it. Nice. I dig it.
Yeah. I mean, what's so cool about that is that it really captures the original vibe of the PGM. That's been. I mean, the PGM has been one of the most successful Paul Gilbert designs, especially the 100. So there was a reissue of that guitar, and now adding this variant. It's called the PGM M11, and that little thing clocks in at $200. So it's really a cool thing to add to the arsenal. I think it's a luxury item.
What's the price on it?
To have it, but if you have it.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. What's the
$200?
$200. And what's the scale length? And what's the tuning?
It's just a regular standard tuning. So I'm not too sure about the scale at the moment. I would have to check that up. What the micro scale is with Ibanez.
I mean, it's got. While you're doing that,
22.2.
22.2.
22.2-ish. Yeah. But don't hold me on that. But like I really like the specs because you got like the bolt-on maple neck. You got the basswood body. Jatoba fretboard, the white dot inlays, and all the looks, and also the pickups. I mean, these are the made in China Infinity pickups, but they're not too bad. I mean, I would definitely not like put bare knuckles in there, but they will do the job, especially for practicing and rehearsing. It's a fun tool. Yep.
Oh.
And if you have kids, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
I do.
And you know why?
Why?
Because you can easily sell it to your wife and tell her it's for the kids.
Well, the thing is, I already have.
Just keep it.
Both of my kids already have guitars, and I'm bringing a video on that in soon. The Loog guitars, which I think I've mentioned a few times. Only 3 strings, but the 3 top strings, so the E, B, and G, and then they would progress onto something like that. What you're holding there.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I love the look, Dan. Is it that the only color? Is that the only color it comes in?
No. We also had like the green version and the white one. So
what color are the F holes on the green one?
That would be black. It's like a emerald green.
Oh yeah.
Something.
And the white?
Yeah.
Is that
And the
gold?
white one is just white and black.
White and black.
No, white
yeah.
and black. Yeah.
I think I prefer the one you're holding right there. And
well, that's one of the trademark designs for Paul Gilbert. And I think we heard the guitar story on the podcast actually when he told us that he wasn't the one who chose the colors. It was just by accident, that they picked a color that they thought looked kind of fancy enough and vibrant enough. So he sticked with it, but it was not on as per Paul's request that he went with. I want jewel blue with pink fake F holes. That's a pretty cool story.
The lovely people in the chat, Guillaume and Valeria, are confirming that it is 22.2 or 564 millimeters. Valeria wins there because she gave us both, and Guillaume, you only gave us in inches, mate. What's the deal? I love you. I miss you. I also got something, but it's not in my possession yet this week.
All right.
I'm just going to bring you up a picture. There it is. It is not coming on the screen.
That goes so well.
That is an omen because I actually haven't paid for it yet.
Okay.
Come on, please. All right. Okay, this is the suspense is killing me now. Let's do that one, and then let's do that one. And it's a PNG, so give me that. God, the suspense, guys. Is that going to work? Yes! Look at that!
That's a mean-looking machine.
Yes, it is. And it's over top of our logo. How dare you?
Is that purple sparkle?
That is a purple sparkle, classic vibe, Squire Telecaster 72 custom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need that guitar, Dan. There is nothing about that guitar that I need. There's 17 guitars in this room. Andy. But look, exactly.
Yeah, it screams Andy.
It's not a guitar that, you might buy if you wanted to invest in a guitar, just to throw that out there in case we might be talking about that in a moment. But it's a pure want. And I think I talked about it last week that I could probably. It's around. I think I haven't paid for it yet, so it's around €400, being a Squire Classic Vibe. Okay. And I think if I sold that at a later date for between $250 and $300, if it ever went, I've rented that guitar for $100, and that's made me happy. And I'm not sure of many ways I can spend $100 and make myself happy, Dan.
No doubt about that.
So that's
Danish Pete approved. That is true. That is quite. True. What's the thing? What's the thing about purple at the moment? It's such a hyped color, right?
I don't know, but I was talking to Pete about it, and I posted on Instagram and said I might do this, and he wrote me and said, "Do it." So when Pete speaks, Andy does.
Yeah, approved.
Yeah, So it's coming soon. Again, don't need it. Barely play the guitars I have, if I'm honest.
All right.
Yeah. Alrighty.
So, what is it? Is it already inbound? When are you expecting the?
No,
the guitar?
It's I haven't paid for it yet, but it's got my name on it.
All right. Okay.
I only decided yesterday, so. Yeah, but it's kind of pre-inbound. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Also, there is a shell pink one. Just a shout out to Guillaume in the chat. There is a shell pink classic vibe Strat that looks absolutely insanely good, but it's not Guillaume's Strat, so why bother?
Yeah.
I'm just going to eat a Milky Way crispy roll if you don't mind.
No
keep the old blood sugar up. I'll step off the mic for a minute.
You can do a little bit of an ASMR section.
I should get stereo mics so I can,
Yeah. So Andy's enjoying that for all the podcast listeners. Yeah.
Oh, that was good. I recommend. Not sponsored by Milky Way, but yet. But you never know. There's a first for everything. Speaking of sponsorship, we will have a sponsor in the whole of December, so that's coming up. I'm very excited about that.
That is lovely, yeah.
Mainly people shouting out their support for the podcast because they enjoy it, and that means a lot to me. Sorry, still getting that crispy roll there. Oh,
we might gotta move on from the crispy roll to something else.
Yeah, we could. I mean, is that our gear of the week?
Yep.
So did I miss the video for gear of the week? Oh well, never mind. Then of course, Dan, shall we move on to the main course?
Yeah, please.
The main course, Dan. The reason that we made that silly thumbnail.
Yeah.
You are certainly the leader of this topic. So would you introduce us to investing and guitars, please?
Absolutely. 100% profit. That's what an investor's dreams are made of, right? So there's a lot of like tricky offers that, suggest you could make 100% profit with stuff like Bitcoins and whatever, and it's super risky. However, when it comes to our realms, like the guitar realms, it's not too unrealistic that you probably already sold a pedal or a guitar that already would have increased by 100% in value. Mm-hmm. For instance, let's say a Marshall Bluesbreaker from the first series.
What? Something such as this?
Yeah. Stuff like that might have doubled in value already. So now that we got the attention of our listeners and viewers, we might want to talk about investing in gear because with interest being super low and the stock market's already being at an all-time high, at least for some stocks, it might be a good alternative for a few guys that maybe already have like a big assortment of guitars or want to spend a little bit of money and invest in gear. So Andy and I, we already discussed and checked back and forth. We don't want to just talk about what's already hot. We also want to give you a rundown, or let's say a wild card guess on what could be the next big thing. And I'm maybe 100% increase in value is a little bit steep, but maybe 30 or 50%. It's already much more than what you would get, with stocks or just leaving your money at the bank account. So shall we start?
Yeah, I want to jump in and say that, dear listeners, dear viewers, listen to me not, listen to Dan. If I ever strike you as a person that knows what to do with money, then I am absolutely not. I've just bought a classic Vibe. Well, I'm in the process of buying a classic Vibe Telecaster, which goes way against what we're talking about now. It's not an investment; it's just pure spunking money away. But Dan is quite skilled in the old investment game, and I don't know if he makes that public, but my girlfriend and I had some money to invest, and I would certainly not invest that money without talking to Dan first. And I don't know if you can buy stocks in Ibanez, but that's what he strangely recommended. No, so yeah, what I'll be saying is purely speculative. I think Dan will be the one who actually will give the intelligent advice on this one. But I have some interesting ones. What I wanted to do is make sure that we're kind of trying to pick the next thing, isn't it, Dan? We're not saying Let's mention the pedal, the one that is making a lot of increase at the moment, the Klon. We're only going to mention it briefly because it's already out there that you can buy a Klon, and it is increasing in price yearly, say monthly, weekly, daily. So that's not going to be on a recommendation because it's already extremely pricey, even though that price could double. So it's not about it. It kind of is about an initial investment and capital, but that's already out of the reach of many, many people. Would you say, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's probably not what we are focusing on, because that's definitely dentist and lawyer material. That's not what I would invest my money in. And Yeah. Also, I think one of the key points, and we started with that already last week when we talked about the guy who tried to scam you on Reverb, is there are a few things that you should consider before really like starting to invest your money in gear. And the first point, and this is probably the most important point, is how to avoid being scammed. And there's one baseline rule that I always follow is if the price is too good, it probably isn't real. Agree?
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because back like 10 years ago when the internet wasn't everywhere, you still make a bargain and maybe on a flea market find like a super hot guitar and a super rare pedal and get that for very little money. But nowadays with eBay and Reverb and all that stuff, like, everybody's informed, and they have the whole world in their hand just with their smartphone. So what I'm about to say is, that was my daughter. What I'm about to say is that if the price is way below what you would usually pay for the pedal, it either is already taken or it's just a big scam. So be super careful about that. And also, if you find an item that is interesting enough and you think it's well priced, also make sure you search for the exact same item on multiple platforms. And that is what Andy did last week. So you can check like the pictures that you see, are they already used, for instance, from another seller? That would be a big indicator that this is a big scam, either one of them or even both. Sometimes there are big parties, they use the same pictures and they share them and they just try to scam people. They hack PayPal accounts and they will just try to trick you. So make sure to do a proper research. Greed will eat up your brain at some point. So you got to be pretty careful with that. And we already had that last week. One of my let's call it pro tip. It's not supposed to sound too cocky, but really like one of the best advice that I can give is ask the seller for more pictures and ask them for pictures about stuff that is weird. Ask them for pictures, let's say, from inside the battery compartment. Ask them to take it off and take a picture, or maybe, I don't know, from a different perspective. There are so many options, but ask them something that usually you would not have photographed when you would have sold that guitar, because then you can make sure, does he really hold the guitar or not? Does that make sense, Andy?
Absolutely, yeah. Ask for weird pictures. Can you please send me a picture with it on your head or with a cat?
Yeah. Just
but
like
it sent me back. Someone actually asked me, I can't remember what it was because I do tend to sell a lot of pedals used and stuff like that. I remember someone with something asking me for some kind of weird request. Nothing naughty, but something something that I thought was weird. I think it was can you take a picture of the pedal outside? So it was that. Something like that. And I just okay. And I think that might be what this guy was kind of asking for. That's a very sensible first move. So I think we can sum that up by saying that if the price looks too good, then it probably isn't what you're thinking. Not to be. I mean, there's always that chance,
Sure.
Always that chance.
But it's rare. It's rare, and especially not on the internet. If you're visiting, and we're going to touch that topic later. But if you're visiting an old like brick and mortar store with an old owner, and he's got maybe an old guitar sitting somewhere in the back that already is covered by dust, then that's a lucky find. But on the internet, chances are very small. Yeah, so that will be a first advice. Make sure not to be scammed, because that will ruin everything. And even if you made some money with prior sales and trades or anything, it will ruin the margin that you earned. So make sure nobody's scamming you. And I'm getting small again. And also one thing that Andy pointed out is you got to determine for yourself, when you think about investing in guitars, are you a collector? Or are you a investor?
What's the difference, Dan?
Well, both basically is fine, but it just provides you a totally different perspective. If you are an investor, you have like a different goal when it comes to buying and selling gear. So let's say as a collector, and this is something that I think Sarang or someone else already mentioned, you can hold on to your gear as long as you want. It's basically you're collecting gear for difficult times, so that you're able to sell a couple guitars when you're going through a rough period financially. So you have something somewhere that you can just turn into money to keep on living, and keep your lifestyle. But it's a completely different story if you're an investor, and that also influences how you should treat the gear that you acquire. So if you are a collector, you can play it, for instance, and this is one of the most beautiful things, because you cannot play music on stocks, not even gold. I mean, you can look on gold. I don't have gold, but if you have gold, if you're a gold collector and you've got, rings and everything, I mean, it's cool, but you can't do anything with that. And the beauty about guitars is they don't lose value. If you keep them nice and clean, they will just keep a certain level of value and maybe increase over time. So that's one of the main points. So no scratches when you play them, but you can play them if you're a collector. Also, one of the tips from my experience is don't use wall hangers when you're a collector, because wall hangers, they tend to, if you have a neck that is, for instance, made of bird's eye maple, or if you have a like very cold walls, your necks might be warping. That's a big issue that I experienced several times with wall hangers. So I would be pretty careful with that.
Really?
And actually, it's also
let's just jump out of investing for a second there.
Yeah.
That's actually happened to you, where you've had guitars hanging and then the guitar got a bit longer, or what?
No, the neck just warped. So ultimately, it just twisted, in two directions, and then there's no way in playing that. And you've got to bring it to a luthier, and he's got to, cut some wood off and maybe reapply a new surface, like a new fretboard on it. So that's horrible. I mean, you want that to happen. And the reason for that, I was really pissed when it happened first, and I was even like more depressed basically when it happened the second time. But I heard a good explanation. People were telling me that especially outside walls, they can be pretty cold. So when you when the heating is heating up the apartment or the flat, then the wall is slowly getting warmer. But once the heating is out, for instance, overnight, it will get cold again. So you have that permanent climate change and also temperature change on outside walls. So be pretty careful with that. So basically, from that, I would recommend, if you are a collector, always store your guitars in cases. There's no better place. I mean, if you have an acoustic guitar, or if you're collecting acoustic guitars, make sure you've got a humidifier as well. And also, if you have like electric guitars, make sure that there's no neck sprout over time. So like I said, you got to keep the guitars nice and clean. It's with old timers, like old cars, you got to make sure, to give them some love over time. But please keep the stuff in your case if you don't play it.
So do you have to decide, or would you say it's best to decide if you are going to collect this guitar or you're going to invest in this guitar before it even enters your house?
I mean, I think it's a totally different approach, because if as a collector, what I just mentioned are the rules that you got to follow in order to keep your guitars nice and keep a certain value. Also, like, keep them away from sunlight. That's also one of the big issues that can endanger the overall value of the guitar. But as an investor, I would definitely have a totally different approach. As an investor, I would, like, from the very beginning, carry like an inventory list of the guitars that you have. And also, once you purchase a guitar, you got to have a certain price tag in mind at which you want to sell the guitar. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the main point, because if you're not selling the guitars, you are a collector and not an investor. And that's a big point. You have to let go of the guitars at some point. And the best way to do that is, like, if you purchase a guitar at a good price, set yourself a threshold. And once you reach that threshold, you've got a potential buyer that would pay a certain amount of money. You got to let it go. Otherwise, you're not an investor.
Man, it's tough. I mean, the hardest thing for me, and I think that's for many of us as guitar players, is the emotional connection to a guitar. Because, like, there's certain guitar, there's a guitar, there's a telly just there. You see it? I had that since the 90s. My dad bought it me. I can't ever sell it because it or at least it would be very, very last, on my list to sell because of the emotional connection. And I have to be very careful when I'm buying things, like specifically doing this channel. I don't buy guitars or companies send me guitars. I don't have that as my personal collection sometimes. I actually do separate my personal collection from my work collection. So there are some guitars that I don't feature on the channel, or at least very rarely feature. And selling guitars for me is the emotional issue there. So of course, you know, as you've just said, you have to wait until you reach the price, or maybe you put it up as a price, and if someone offers it you, I've often. It has happened where someone's offered me the price that I wanted, and then my heart's gone, oh no, I don't want to sell it. And then, of course, what happens is most of the time the guitar goes, and I forget that I even had that guitar. Isn't that awful? You know? Oh look, a new shiny one. But that's the best, and. Yeah, so
I think most of the guys in the live stream, they pledge guilty on being a collector, including myself. I mean, who's like one of the cold-blooded investors that's just purchasing guitars and selling them at a special price. It's a very small amount of people. You got to be honest.
I wanted to bring up, just to jump out of the sort of, not script, but we'll call it a script. Take you off rack for a minute. I want to talk about the ethical side. Is it right to invest guitars? Imagine Peter Green's Les Paul, currently owned by Kirk Hammett. Just wouldn't it be awful if that was just sold on and someone just kept it in a glass case in a climate controlled area, and that just feels so wrong, as if it's owned by the guitar community of the world, So absolutely, as an investment, or Jimmy Page's number one, or anything from Hendrix or Clapton, or any name that you can think of. Brian May, okay? He's getting on in years. At some point, he won't need the Red Special anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a fair point. I mean, that's part of music history, and I mean, I would even prefer those guitar being exhibited at a museum over just being somewhere, put in a safe or in a private living room.
There's the Kurt Cobain. We talked about this on the first series. Kurt Cobain's acoustic guitar from Live Unplugged in New York, the Martin, bought by the CEO of Rode Microphones for just over $6 million, and he is or would have been, had we not been locked down all this time, taking it out on the road, allowing people to see it, and then eventually selling it on, probably at a profit, and putting that money at, I don't know if it's all the money or the profit. I don't remember reading it, but that money goes towards music education. As Sarang is saying, Steve Vai's Evo. Yeah, of course. The list is huge. I just think the world has the guitar world has an ownership of these instruments. We feel like there's a wrong being done there.
Yeah. Definitely.
But also, Jason's just pointed out that there's a great guitars, but a mere mortal would never be attainable. For a mere mortal, would never be attainable. That's true. I just feel slightly pained if the Red Special, for example, were to be locked away. Only to be brought out 5 years later, so somebody else could lock it away for more money.
Agreed.
Yeah, Dan, let's get back to it.
Yeah, so we're gonna be thankful actually for Kirk Hammett still playing Peter Green's original guitar and making that, showing us that the guitar still exists. I mean, I didn't necessarily like the way he plays it compared to how Peter Green did, but
such is life.
But don't let start on discussing
Close
S&M
that door quickly. Close it down.
Yeah.
Lock it.
That's a
swallow the key.
We're not going down that road. Not at all. Yeah. But still, like going back to that, like being a collector, being an investor. I mean, there are a few cold-hearted investors, but they definitely have to act that way. You got to have an inventory list. You got to have a target price, and once you reach a price, you sell it, and you buy and you sell, and you buy and you sell. And there are some great shops at the very ending. We'll be talking about those where you can, buy those guitars. And I'm actually thankful that there are a few people that have those kind of businesses, like smaller businesses, but they are highly specialized on those niche guitars. Thanks to them, occasionally they pop up and are available, for buying.
Yeah, they kind of curate them, don't they?
On the other hand, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and also it's like they're also a little bit like a price Bible, because you can see how the value develops. I mean, nowadays we have Reverb, but back in the days there were a few shops that were specialized on used guitars, and they were basically dictating the price. So
there was a blue book as well, if I remember rightly.
Yep. That is great.
I never really got into that. I was too busy playing, I guess.
So, and when we talk about we don't want to talk about spending money. We also want to find out how to make money from guitars, from selling guitars. So one of the key aspects when you want to make money from selling guitars is you have to have a decent purchasing price of the guitars. How do you get that?
Lowball.
Lowball offers. Okay, fair enough. But you got to do your proper research first. And nowadays we have, Reverb, you've got eBay. You can check all those platforms to find out what is a proper price. Like what were the last auctions that ended up, product being sold, and what is like the curve. Sure. You have the graph on Reverb that gives you like the last transactions over the last 12 or 24 months. So that's a very good indicator to also see how the value of an instrument gradually develops.
Sometimes there's just a gut feeling as well, isn't there? Like, I think it was yesterday, in fact, that I think it was Brian that posted in the Guitar Geek Facebook group that he'd found an Ibanez for 350. 50,
yeah. RBM 10, Red Beach model, correct.
And then he asked for your help, of course, and you gracefully jumped in, and it's worth, I think you said, between 500 and 1,000 quite easily. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. I mean, in a good condition with original case. I mean, it's a thing at the moment. Everyone is desperately trying to spend money somewhere. People buy Lego, and people buy stocks. People buy guitars. People buy old cars.
Sorry. Dan buys Lego. Dan buys stocks. Dan buys guitars.
I'm not. These were just
people
examples,
such as me. Dude, if we're not sending each other photos of guitars or pedals or stuff, you're sending me photos of Lego.
But I built.
Oh, yeah. It's not quite Ghostbusters, though, is it?
No, it's not.
Ghostbusters Ecto 1.
Can we digress?
Yeah, does anybody mind if we digress to Lego for a second? No? Okay, then.
Just a sec. They just released this super cool Ecto 1. And it's 47 centimeters long.
Oh, pressing all kinds of buttons.
47 centimeters.
Ghostbusters. I got to bring this up. Ghostbusters Ecto 1 Lego. I love the curves it has. You know what I mean? Because they put it as a promo thing they did with the actual Ecto 1, or one of the ambulances that was kitted out like an Ecto 1. And they had the shape, the form right. As a Ghostbusters fanatic and a Lego fan, which is the same word as fanatic. And I can't show this flipping picture. Oh, I wish I could. Because it's just so good. Is anyone in the chat into Lego? Is it 10274, Dan? That's the right number, isn't it? That's the new one, because there was an older one as well. Yeah, that's got to be it. Brick Fanatics. There we go. What a digression this is.
But it's super cool. We got to do it.
I'm trying to do it. I mean, this is
the way.
This is the way. Oh, we'll do that later as well. Don't you worry, my friend. We got Mandalorian news coming right your way later. Lego Ghostbusters. Lordy.
Let me quote Vin Diesel. Beautiful. That is so cool.
I mean, it's not a pretty car, is it? But when you put all that stuff on it and has all the history of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, and the cool thing is once you roll it, like if you move it, the thingies on the roof, they will move. That's so super cool.
Yeah.
And you got the steering wheel that you can move, hand of God steering on top.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So Lego investing
Very
next
nice.
week.
Yeah. Oh, there are other podcasts for that. That's for sure. But let's talk about like gear investment.
Sure.
Yeah. So basically, we want to find out how you can make money on guitars, and like I said, you got to get a good price, like a purchasing price, and also there's the art of like negotiating with the dealer, with either a dealer or a seller. So if you're good in negotiating, chances are that you also get a good price on that. So be kind, ask politely. Don't do like lowball offers.
I was joking, although I have been lowballed, of course, and I have myself also lowballed other people. I'm a firm believer in if you don't ask, you don't get. However, when I was thinking about selling my custom shop Strat recently, which I decided against in the end because I grew to love it again, I put it up for, let's say 2.8. I think it was 2.8 it was up for. And some guy just wrote 1,400. Well, that's exactly 50%, dude. You've just taken my number and halved it. You haven't even put any work, any creative numbers on that. You've just halved it. And then he gave me 1,000 reasons why. Anyway.
Yeah. And also, the question that you occasionally get is like, what's the best price?
Yeah, let's the price. Here we have this.
Let's the price. Yeah. Yeah.
I think when I'll give you the best price. Delete. I think for me, I have sold guitars and guitar-related gear for prices that far less than I wanted to, but for some reason a buyer has inspired me to. So I've sold a guitar to a kid, a 15-year-old boy once. Not because he gave me a sob story, but because he was genuinely interested and we started chatting and I thought, I really want this guitar to go to this person. On the flip side of that, some guy pretended to be a 10-year-old person and it was a man trying to sell me sob stories. So, again, back to the testing people, I always like to enter a conversation when negotiating, not just throwing a number out there.
No, I hear you.
So we got Jason in the chat. He's saying, when selling, start high and work down to what your actual price would be because people always want a deal and expect to haggle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you want $200, don't put it up for $200. If you put 210, that kind of, for me, that always indicates, okay, this guy or this girl's looking for 200. They're just putting two. So you go 200. They go, yeah, okay. Or yeah.
That's a good point.
Thank you, Jason. That's something that I generally tend to do even when I'm not investing. But we got any more pro tips, Dan? Any more pro investment tips?
Yeah, maybe one last before we go into which models are currently hot and what are our guesses for the future. Usually, especially if you have like commercial sellers, if they offer something on Reverb or eBay, the price might be slightly higher than what they would actually sell it in their store or sell it to you after negotiating. Good. Because if they sell it directly to you, they don't have to pay the Reverb fee or any kind of cut. So basically, if you see an item from a commercial seller on Reverb, check their store, check their website, and maybe just inquire via email. So if they can sell it directly outside that platform like eBay or Reverb, they can offer you a better price.
Then, of course, you don't have the protection that you would get as a buyer from eBay or Reverb. But is that something real, or is it scaremongering done by Reverb and eBay and such places?
Yeah. Plus, if it's like a commercial seller, it's rather unusual to being scammed from those kind of guys. Plus, you can still insist on using PayPal. I mean, you got to pay the 3% PayPal fee in that case, but it's always advisable.
Never, ever. Friends and family. Never, ever send money friends and family.
Nope.
I'm sure you guys in the chat know that. But if you're listening and maybe you're not so experienced in buying and selling and maybe not even investing, but don't ever send friends and family, man. It's just
Nope. That money is gone for good.
Oh, but you have to send it by friends and family because of this and this. No, sorry. No matter how much you want that piece of gear, and I can talking from personal experience, both positive and negative. I've lost money, not a lot, thankfully, but never.
Yep. Fully agree. Yeah. So also, I don't really have a moral issue with that, asking outside eBay or Reverb, because usually those kind of commercial sellers, they have a website or shop themselves, so you could either go there and or check out the website. So it's not an issue. Whereas I'm not a big fan of talking guys out of an eBay sell if they already have a couple bids on the item. So this is something I would not recommend because you might be banned from eBay, or also some sellers might react a little bit aggressive.
But also, don't ask, you don't get.
Sure.
I love the dance. Sometimes the dance is more fun than the actual. One night. No, I'll leave that metaphor. That's very mixed. Dan, I've got some gear with me, and I've got a guitar and a small selection of pedals. We already mentioned the Klon earlier. We're not going to go anywhere near that today because it's well known, and we're trying to predict the next sort of thing that you might want to not sell if you have one. Do you have something with you as well? I believe you do.
I have, yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to get?
Do you want to start?
I'll start because I'll bring in, if I may. I'll bring in the blues breaker that I brought in earlier. And
so that's already a hot item, right?
It is hot. However, the story behind this is fairly interesting. Have I told you how much I paid for this, Dan?
Not yet.
How much do you think I paid for this? And I've done that to you twice now, but give me a guess. How much do you think I paid for this?
$80?
£15.
That's a
in
good price.
1996.
Yeah, there you go.
There was a
time. Yeah.
There was a closing down sale in my still favourite, because it's deep in my heart, an ex-local shop, Gloucester Music in Gloucester, and I bought this and a very well-known pedal to you, Dan, the Dan Electro Pastrami Overdrive. And the Pastrami cost me £20, and this cost me $15.
Can you read between the lines?
I can. I'm not actually sure how old this blues breaker is. It's generation 1. It's the English one, which if you are looking to invest in a blues breaker, there's the English one. I've entered the Germans then. English one and the Korean one. The English one is the more desirable one.
Yeah.
And as for version 2, the smaller silver one, it ain't the same. Don't even bother.
Yeah. Well, how do you differentiate between the made in Korea version and the British one?
It says made in England on the back.
All right. Well, Andy's got a solution.
If it's made in Korea, Dan, it says made in Korea.
But here's the thing: there was a time when Marshall released the second series, the Mark II series. The shiny silver ones that they were rock solid.
Have a couple,
yeah. You could buy the series 1 at almost like a couple euros, $5, $10, $15. That was ridiculous at that time. And now the prices have skyrocketed. So how much is the current value of these? Like a regular blues breaker?
I could probably
series
sell it
1?
for €300 easily. I can sell it for $250 right now because I've been offered $250. If I put it up for $300,
so that's more than 100%.
Yeah. So we're talking more than £15. Just to check. Hang on, I'm just going to check my maths on that. Yes, it is more than £15. And also, just as a little teaser for an upcoming video, I have all of that series of Marshall pedals.
Oh, all made in the UK.
All British made, except for one which is Korean made, because of course we're going to get a Versus. What have you got, Dan? Because I've got a little handful. I've got about 8 pedals with me. Have you got anything with you you'd
All
recommend?
right. Well, basically, we wanted to start with the objects that are currently already hot, and then go to the wild cards. So I didn't bring a pedal with me, but I brought a guitar. I showed it once, but I'm going to show it again. Swirly, swirly, purpley. So whenever you see a swirled, like an original swirled gem, and it's reasonably priced, buy it. Buy it. This is one of the purple multicolors, less than 300 made. And that was I think I told the story that it was a coincidence that someone was asking for my advice about a value estimate for a old tube screamer pedal. And in the background there was this guitar sitting, and I was like, okay, here's the estimate, but what's the deal about that guitar? I want it. So, and I was like, no questions asked. He was like, yeah, it's for sale, you can buy that. And then we went back and forth, and I ended up buying it at a very good price. So swirls. I mean, those kind of purple multicolors, or just the regular swirls, and also the Millennium models, the Gem DNA, which contains a vial of blood, Steve Vai's blood, hence the name. Those guitars, they are already skyrocketing in price, and like if you have a chance to get your hands on those at a decent price, that's a safe bet for a very good investment, because they will double or triple or
what would you call a decent price, Dan?
price.
What's a decent price?
Well, that really depends on the models and also on the condition. I can only recommend to check out the the listings that ended recently. I mean, if we talk, for instance, that's not a multicolor, but if we talk about one of the Gem 777 Loch Ness Green ones, the very first Steve Vai signature guitars, those they built like 777 of those. And if you find one of these in near mint condition, even 5K would be a good price from my point of view.
Wow.
Because they're only 777, and most of them, they were all painted on the back, some doodling from Steve, and they were all numbered. So if this is still preserved, there are very few guitars that are still in that condition. So that will still be a good price. So it's always subjective, and it really comes down to how much money you want to spend. And if this still sounds like sane to you to spend that much of money for on a guitar, but that would be a good investment. It always comes down to supply and demand, and where supply and demand meet,
True.
then you get the price in the market. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
So, like,
sorry,
finishes.
Dan. I'm just really worried you're gonna knock and ding dong that guitar while we're pointing at the microphone. Boom! It's just cost me $500.
B-stock. That's how we call it.
B-stock. Relict. Authentic relic. Podcast relic.
Yeah.
When our podcast is number one in the world, then that would, of course, be worth more. You never know. Aim for the stars. I want to bring to the attention something from the chat from Funky Monkey. Funky Monkey found an 89. That's so much fun to say. Funky Monkey. Have a go, Dan. Funky Monkey. Try it.
Funky Monkey?
I just brought Funky Monkey.
Funky Monkey.
Sorry.
You got to add some rhythm
Monkey.
to it. The Funky Monkey.
Funky Monkey.
Yeah.
I have found an 80. It's even more fun if you say it first. Funky Monkey. I found an 89 Takamine guitar at a thrift store the other day. I had the first peak buy option. Was flawless, like new. I bought it to resell. I could easily make $600 profit. But now I love it too much.
That is the eternal struggle.
I hear you. Oh my goodness.
That's like I said, you got to be pretty cold-blooded to be a pure investor, because every guitar's got a story. Yeah.
See, I would say that investors and artists, musicians, the arty type, the creative, the musician, that's a really hard personality to have, cold-blooded business person, musician.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd know more about that, Dan, of course, but all right, you did guitar, I'm going to do guitar, okay?
All right.
Oh, sugar. Just kidding.
Ooh. Very nice. What is that?
There's you in the reflection. Hello. This is a Gibson Golden Axe Explorer. The Bill Kelleher guitar player, or one of the guitar players from Mastodon.
Very nice. How's that finish called?
It's called Golden Burst. Golden Burst. So it's not actually it's actually gold. It's not brown. So it's golden. It's hence the name. And we've got binding. We've got a slim 60s neck, black on the back. It's an Explorer. It's got the Mastodon logo just there, somewhere there. Push pull pots, boom boom for coil splitting, and then some is it lace sensor? Yeah, lace nitro Hemi pickups, and they made 400 of these, Dan. What are you laughing at now?
It's a lovely guitar. I just had to laugh because there was that one comment that said, where is that? I'm buying this guitar to resell. It's a trap.
Okay, I'll let you off with the Star
no
Wars.
one ever. Yeah.
So they made 400 of these.
I wasn't aware that they were so rare.
I didn't know. I just saw a picture. The story of me and this guitar is that I saw a picture of one day on the internet, and I've always wanted an Explorer because I'm a big guy, and this makes me look like a normal-sized person. And for me, Explorers have to have block inlays, and that's not traditionally how it is. And then I found that just by accident, and then I saw the finish, and like, oh my goodness! And only then did I find out, of course, that there were only 400 made. So I searched, I think, for about 18 months, 2 years, and had search agents out on Reverb, on eBay, on Willhaben here in Austria, and then one came up in Vienna, and the guy wanted $1,200 for it, and it's not in A1 condition, so it's in better than player condition, but it's chipped on the headstock. Just there, like, can I show it? Yeah, it's chipped on the headstock. It actually looks like someone's bitten the edge of the headstock. I think that's because that's quite pokey. I think someone's poked that. It's some singer or something. It's bitten the end. But it's very, there's no knocks or the body's pretty much perfect. It's just the headstock, and that's because it's an Explorer. And putting it back just for a second because it's heavy. 400 made. I paid $1,200 for it. I've been offered $1,700 instantly when I bought it.
Wow.
So that's 500. 500 profit, and
only if you sell it.
Exactly, Dan. And the thing is, that is a case queen. I've only took it out of the case to show you tonight. And I noticed that the frets have started to go a little bit green from not being stored properly. So I need to make sure I deal with that in a moment. But so there's another thing we need to talk about at some point is storing things. 400 made. Bill Kelleher fell out with Gibson shortly afterwards because they wouldn't, even though it's his signature, they were selling it in standard tuning with, I think, 10 to 46 strings, and he doesn't use those strings or standard tuning. So Gibson would not, as the story goes, sell it as a signature guitar, as if you were playing Bill's guitar. And he's now with, I want to say, ESP.
Yeah, I think so.
And they're doing exactly what he wants, and that's also a very nice guitar. But the point is, I don't see there ever being any more made, and even if they do make more, this is the first generation. That's the guitar that, even though I don't play Gibson on this channel anymore for political reasons, I will not get rid of that guitar. I've got rid of all my other Gibsons. Can't have guitars that I don't play. And that one's staying for the investment, but also because it took me such a long time to get it,
Yeah,
but I very much see that in the future going to my son or my daughter, or selling it and finally paying for the surgery, whatever.
Dark. Very dark.
But what I'm saying is that's the one that I didn't buy to invest, but I'm now keeping as an investment.
Yeah, I hear. But that's like a prototypical example of a good investment, because it's a guitar that has only been built like for a short period of time. The artist is already no longer with the company, and it's like a very renowned band or artist. So that's like three key boxes that you can check that make it for a good investment. So usually signature gear that is that stands out and is very much different compared to like regular production models, it's always a good idea to invest in that instead of just like a regular, let's say, Gibson Les Paul Standard or RG 550 or Fender Strat Custom Shop, whatever, because it stands out. And there will always be a couple guys, a couple of super fans that are looking for this exact guitar, and they will ultimately end up, buying that from somewhere. And they don't even shy away from importing stuff.
No.
I imported stuff from the States just for the sake of having it. So, yeah.
I've just been waiting for this entire podcast for Pooh to bring up the Pia giveaway. He asked us if he missed... Pooh Ninja, did I miss the Pia giveaway, or am I still eligible to win? Nice one. I get the feeling we should fire through a few more examples, and then what have you got, Dan?
Like of the what's currently hot, or do you think what we think of good investments?
Have you got anything
future?
more with you? Because I've got a few things I could just throw up at the camera.
Well, if we talk about wildcard predictions,
yes,
if I may start that sections, one of a very interesting example might be the TSV 808, the Ibanez Vamarem, because this is a pedal that has been built only for 1 year. It comes in a very nice packaging. It was expensive when you had to buy it. I think it was $500, am I mistaken?
I thought 400, but
I
yeah, it's that
400
area.
Yeah. And it's super nice. First time I get it out of the box, just for you guys to show you.
You've never taken it out of the box?
Nope.
So
that's a super nice.
But you've plugged one in, haven't you? Because I remember we were talking at NAMM, and
yeah. We had prototypes and stuff. So I have one in the office actually, but they're all numbered, and I can totally see those go for, I don't know, say $1,000 in a couple of years, because they've only been produced in very limited numbers, and it's a very exclusive item. And Vamarem is a highly hyped brand from Japan. And Ibanez is a sought-after brand, and Tube Screamer is a trademark. So if people are looking for, especially collectors that have every single Tube Screamer and they want like at least one pedal of each series, there's no alternative on getting one of these. So that would definitely be a good investment. If you find one in the wild at a good price, go for it.
So how many were made, or was it limited to time or limited to numbers, or both?
Usually Ibanez doesn't share those numbers, so I don't really know how many were made, but I know that we had a lot of back orders that we could not fulfill. And I know that in Japan and the US it was the same case, because the production took much longer than expected. So they ended up like producing less than we originally had planned. So yeah, that's definitely a good investment. And all those, like, if I may like go on with another example, all those kind of special edition of the Tube Screamer. Like
sorry,
I
reacted badly then.
This is like the TS9, the golden version of the TS. Those ones, they are usually a safe bet. So you probably don't find them like at a discounted price, because like I said, they are produced only like for 12 months or even shorter period of time. But if you have a chance to get hold of one, that's a safe bet. If you hold on to these pedals for, let's say, 10 years, I guarantee they will increase in value. No doubt about that.
Would you ever consider buying two, one to play, one to box?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's I have done that, not with Ibanez pedals, but I have a couple exotic pedals.
Is it Andy Timmons by any chance?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, those were signed. Hand signed and hand numbered. So, and also there was a exclusive series of GNI, NGI. It's like a Brazilian effects company, and you could only import them from Brazil. So I'm not playing that pedal, but unfortunately I don't have like the equivalent to be played. But I've got a couple of exotic BB preamps, AT Signature ones, So a couple to collect and a couple to play.
Well, that's good.
But that's the exception, because I don't have like too much money laying around just to spend it on gear that's not being played. That's why I'm not keeping any case queens. I have a big collection of guitars, but most of them, they are cluttered around at either my parents at law or at work or here. So they usually get to be played at least a couple times per year. I don't like case queens too much, because then it would really be like more a pure investment. And like I mentioned earlier, you got to take care of these guitars. You got to spend some love and give them some proper TLC from time to time.
Yeah, I haven't, and now I need to, sort that out. Dear.
There you go.
We got some people in the chat. Funky Monkey, good, still fun to say. Got a tube screamer in the 90s. Dan is dancing away there. So the old green tube screamers, I'm assuming you mean the 808, which is now reissued, the 808 Pro. Am I right there, Dan?
Can you say that again?
The 808 Pro is the reissue. Is that right?
No, there were a couple, not necessarily the Pro. There were a couple TS808. Also, it's like the 40th anniversary reissue, and there were the hand-wired versions. So there are a couple variations.
Okay, well, the important part is that Funky Monkey got one for $5 in the 90s. That's a safe bet. And I will say, any pedal for $5 is a safe bet. You could definitely sell that for $10.
I love flea markets. Yeah, just buy every pedal you can find on flea market, as long as it's working. For $5.
All right, can I show?
Yeah, please.
It's turning into look at Andy's fun gear, but I've got 3 pedals here that I've only ever taken one out of the box once, and that was just to take a photo. These are the Steel Panther Pussy Melter.
You know that once you announce the name, we are explicit.
I've just said it, but luckily you spoke over me, so well done. The Poontang Boomerang and the Butthole Burner. And these are pedals released by the band Steel Panther. And the Pussy Melter being the first one, and that was extremely controversial, and that was... there's loads of stories you can find about that on the internet and YouTube about the TC Electronic patch they created called the Pussy Melter. Some people didn't like the fact that they used that name, so the TC Electronic removed it. Steel Panther got on the back of that promotion and did a big sort of whoa, screw you, pedal release. So however you feel about that original story, there's a fun pedal there. And then the Butthole Burner is the same pedal, as in the same internals, apparently, but just renamed the Butthole Burner because they won't make any more of these. And then in the middle is the Poontang Boomerang, which is a delay pedal. And I've accidentally started collecting them.
Very nice packaging. I like the idea.
Yeah, so
I mean, the whole story. I think that's what makes those pedals so special, is the story that you just mentioned.
Yeah, and also, I've met Satchel. I did an interview with him for Thomann at NAMM 2018. I want to say 19, and
oh, lovely.
That's
highly recommend
a legendary video. I gained a lot of brownie points, internet points on that one, so I recommend watching that. Not for me, but for the pained conversation going on behind the camera that you can't hear from the people at Charvel trying to get me to finish the interview, and Satchel and I would not finish. It was really, really enjoyable. That's on the Thomann channel, so yeah, go and watch that when you finish watching this. It's really, really enjoyable, and not just for me. So yeah,
that was. If I just quickly might jump in, that was one of the interviews where I just thought, wow, Andy's such a great host, because usually people interview Satchel, they try to out-humor him. They really try not to give him an assist so he can score. They try to be funnier than him. But what you did was just like being the perfect wingman or perfect companion for him. Like, you provided him the ground, and he would score goal after goal after goal. It was hilarious. That was one of the best things I've seen on the Thomann channel. Really, props for that.
Thanks. I had a lot of fun. I mean, that's the bottom line of what I do. Have some fun, man. And you're going to be with Satchel. You're not going to beat him. And also, what's the point? I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I'm not a very competitive person in that sense. But also, I wanted to have fun. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, limited edition pedals that have a story behind them, or limited edition anything, as we also said with the signature guitars. That's a good move. I did pay. They weren't cheap, so they're 200 and something. Then of course I got hit with import duty, which was 60, which is something we've not really mentioned yet, Dan. So if you are importing gear, do you want to talk about that for a second?
Well, you gotta pay tax for that, so we can easily add up like 20% on your import price. That's a rough number. Plus shipping from the States at the moment is super expensive. Due to the whole corona issue, it has skyrocketed. So you got to be careful when considering prices, especially between US and European markets. You got to factor that in, because otherwise it's a apples and pears comparison.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, shall we talk over a couple more predictions? Let's say we can do more wildcard predictions that we think
Go on then.
will
Hit me with a wild
skyrocket
card prediction of what people should be buying, Dan.
All right, I'll slap you with a couple. So
You've been watching Davey for too much.
Way too much, yeah. You know, just a little bit of a story about that. You know what I like the most about his videos? It's not like when he's big on screen. It's when he's watching other videos and he's just like that small video on the corner, and you can barely see him grin a little bit and reacting to that stuff. I love it. So he's the man. Yeah. But anyway, going back to topic. I mean, there are some obvious things like all the 50s and 60s Gibsons and Gibson Les Pauls and Fenders. They basically all have been taken. So if you're in the market for a late 60, early 70 Fender or Gibson, that's probably still in the price range that is realistic. But you got to be pretty careful, because especially with the 70s Strats and also some Les Pauls, I mean, you don't always get what you expect, to put it that way. You know, at the time, especially, you know, we all know the CBS story from Fender, but also with Gibson. I mean, there was a reason why brands like Greco and Ibanez became so big, because they copied Gibson, and their copies actually were better than the original in terms of playability, in terms of, you know, how they were set up and all that stuff. So you got to be pretty careful. And not every late 60s or early 70s Fender or Gibson is a good investment, because if that guitar is a bad instrument, there's no way, you know, you can make up for that. It's just a bad investment.
Unless, of course, you keep it so long, you know, that it becomes ridiculous.
Yeah, but still, I mean, musicians like Bonamassa, I'm pretty sure even if he's a near mint guitar that's just not playing well or sounding well, he'll probably not end up buying that. Because if that guitar doesn't speak to him, why should he invest so much money in it? Just because it's mint? I think there's still that emotional factor when it comes to investing in gear. If you don't resonate with the instrument, you got to be very cold-blooded and really only investment oriented. I don't know if I'm wrong. But
well, you're not wrong. It's an opinion, I guess. So you can't be wrong. But I feel of the opinion that I would find that easier to purchase as an investment, because I don't like the guitar.
Yeah, that's good. But on the other hand,
do you see what I mean?
Yeah, but if you, let's say, take a crazy number, you were about to invest 10 grand on a guitar.
Yeah.
Do you have a better feeling investing on a guitar that plays well and resonates well, or on a guitar that is a case queen and you think like, oh, well, I played Squires that are much better than that?
No, of course not. However, if I were to be in the position of spending 10 grand on a guitar to invest, and I already had a few that I enjoyed playing, if I thought that I could keep that guitar at least in my family for 40, 50, 60 years, and I can safely invest that 10 grand for that time, I'd rather do it in that guitar than I would on many other things, such as a bank account or a savings account.
Fair enough.
But but my initial answer is no. I'd much rather have a much more playable, enjoyable guitar. So even when I do invest, my heart's in the right place, you know. So I'm like, yeah, that's a great guitar, and it's worth whatever you want to pay for it. But I could be cold and sell something that I thought was a hunk of junk, but it would have to be much later. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right with the. It's probably, I want to say, the biggest advice from the podcast I can pick up on is that the 50s and 60s stuff is gone, or to mid 60s. We're talking late 60s, 70s, and that's still attainable by mere mortals such as us. There is a 1965 Jazzmaster in Vienna for 5,000 euros. Seriously considering it. Seriously consider. Well, I don't have the money. Let's be quite honest. I don't have that kind of money to throw around.
Yeah.
But as an investment, if I could convince the other person that lives here, you know, that's. I think it's good. I think it's not going to go down in price, as you said. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
As you said right at the beginning.
Yeah. Any secret or wild card guesses that you have up your sleeve?
It's not really a wild card, but it is in this box.
Ooh.
It's pretty wild card in the terms of it's a pedal that is wild, but it is a pedal that I bought to invest, like the Steel Panther ones. However, I have used it and I've taken out the box several times. It is a Korg Miku.
Very nice. Cool story.
I mean, it's the Andertons pedal. You know, there's nothing you can't mention this pedal without mentioning Andertons and what they did with it and had so much fun and enjoyed themselves. And that video really put them on the map. They were already doing so well and creating great content, and then they did this, and that was, in my opinion, one of the most perfect guitar experience videos I've ever seen, because it's so ridiculous. And if you don't know this pedal, you select a certain phrase that you want the character to say, and then you play your guitar and it triggers that phrase. And of course it's an effects pedal, so you can affect it with other effects, or put it in a clean amp, and of course it's digital, and it's not that great a digital recreation of a voice, so it sounds weird as hell. But when I bought this, Andertons found more of them. So everybody sold out, and then somehow Andertons found 200 more or something. So I jumped on it, and I paid, I think, about £250 for it.
Okay.
So, you know, not a lot, but not a little. And I've already you see them on Reverb. I mean, it's probably 400 right now. I'm going to jump on there for a second and find out. Because I'd like to know.
Have there ever been reissues of that pedal, or was that like a one-off?
It's a one-off, and even the guy, because I talked to the guys at Korg. The cheapest price is $319.
Okay.
But even the guys at Korg have asked me, when I'm doing other Korg stuff and other stuff like that, can I please include the Miku in the video?
Create that kind of voodoo item or kind of, I don't know, something that the brand stands for, you know. Oh, the Miku.
Yeah, the Miku is very, very iconic and stupid.
Yeah.
So I would say it's also the kind of pedal that someone might have bought and thought, what the hell did I buy? And then sells it off, if they're not savvy with the internet, sells it off cheap. So if you see one, get one, because they're not going to be making any more. We've got Small Dan again. We got some suggestions from the chat, Daniel. To see some suggestions of wild cards. We've got
Love Pedal Chula.
Love Pedal Chula. I don't know that one.
Me neither.
Love Pedal.
Sarang is asking, God tier tone, metal sewn into a Miku. As good as it gets.
I can do better than that.
Yeah.
And watch the channel. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
I've done better. Not better. That's not fair. I've done an alternative version of that. It will be coming
Nice.
up on the channel soon. The Love Pedal Chula is currently €229. It's a boost overdrive, and I don't know why. Who was it that said it? I can't remember who recommended it, but apparently I don't know why. I don't see what's special about it, which means that I need to go and buy one. Sarang, it was Sarang again. So Sarang, can you please explain why you're saying the Love Pedal Chula, and why I need to buy one? I love the way Dan's video is constantly changing size. It's great. I'm not worrying about it anymore. So anybody else got any recommendations in the chat? And then Dan wanted to move on to, what was he wanted to move on to? I've forgotten already.
Still wildcard predictions. So we got like a much longer list that it's getting more interesting now, I think, because everyone's talking about late 60s, early 70s stuff, but I think there are some hidden gems we should definitely talk about.
Hit me.
So, if I may, John Mayer is with PRS for 2 or 3 years now already.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a run with Fender, and that was quite successful. Like, he had that super expensive Black One guitar. But that's not necessarily what I would eye on. I'm more into the John Mayer signature model, like the regular ones with the Big Dipper. Big Dipper pickups. That one, yeah, correct. Because they had something so special. They had Big Dipper pickups, which is kind of rare. They had different knobs. They came in a John Mayer signature gig bag that was like army style with... do you have a picture of that too? Like, I think I gave you a...
All right.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah, there you go. They called it the World Tour case. Stuff like that. So the whole package of this guitar is unique. And also the Fender Strat stands for a certain like span of his career that was highly successful. So I can totally see this guitar being one of the, well, let's say, main Strats, in the next couple of years, when it comes to the signature market, because Mayer's always a big topic, and especially this Inca color was a limited run. So if you're lucky enough to get hold on
what's the color?
hold
Inca.
of this guitar, I think it's Inca Gold, if I'm not mistaken, but don't hold me to it. But that was a limited run. There were other colors that were not strictly limited, but also produced only for a period of time. But to me, the John Mayer Strat is definitely a good investment if you find one in decent condition. Also, other Strats from artists that switch brands. One of my teenage hero bands was Blink 182. Do you still remember the Tom DeLonge
335
signature Strat?
Oh, the signature Strat.
No, not the string.
With
the Strat,
with the one humbucker at the bridge.
The Seymour Duncan Invader and the bridge
Invader.
position. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
I had one.
Really?
Yeah.
Which color? Surf green or
Surf
yellow?
green.
Oh, that is the most desirable one.
And I sold it.
Slap.
Yeah, I was, back then I never would think of gear as an investment. I would never think of gear as a thing, let alone an investment. So, it was I have this, I want that. I think I swapped it. And obviously I don't even remember what I swapped it for, so it wasn't that important. And I definitely don't have that guitar anymore. So,
oh boy.
Yeah,
boy.
Sad times.
Yeah. Also, with the passing of Eddie Van Halen, we currently see the renaissance of Eddie Van Halen gear. And if we talk, for instance, the Music Man Van Halen guitars, they are like super rare items already for years. So this is not a wild card guess. But if we talk about PV EVH Wolfgangs made in USA, I think you can still find them at a very reasonable price. Sure. And that would be one of the, let's say, more uncommon guesses from my side, that they might increase significantly in price. So if you have a chance to buy one of these, especially in a rarer color, that would definitely be a good investment. Yeah. And I might digress a little, but here's actually the Music Man Van Halens. They were the two guitars that had a warped neck. I owned two like years ago, not at the same time, but I owned a Sunburst one. I loved it. Had a great tone, especially in the higher frets. But ultimately the neck warped, and I was like, oh well, bad luck. It's a bird's eye maple neck, so they are probably a little bit more prone to warping. And then I was looking for a trans black, because these guitars, they're very special. The Music Man trans black guitars, over time, even if you do not expose it to sunlight, the black will fade into a greenish tone. And it's super sexy. You either have the flame maple or you've got the quilt maple, and it's got that trans black green shade to it. Lovely. And this guitar was also a rock monster. If you plugged it into a Marshall or a 5150, that was insane. But again, over time, the neck warped. And I reached out to Music Man in the States, and they said, well, we've got our whole warehouse full of those necks, but we cannot send you a replacement neck, even if you pay it, because it says Van Halen on the headstock. And we cannot sell those anymore. So what do you do with these guitars if you collect them? That's a sad story.
Would it be prudent to take the neck off and do something with science?
Yeah, actually, a luthier can totally like refurbish that and make it playable again. That's not a problem at all. But then you're altering the original instrument. That's basically not why you're investing in gear. And I mean, they skyrocketed in value too. The black one was a guitar that I found at a Mama Papa music store in the south of Germany. I think I bought it for 1K. 1.2K, I'm not sure. It's a long time ago, but it had such a thick layer of grease and dust on it. So but once I cleaned it, it was like a superb instrument. But again, after a couple months, the neck warped. I pledged guilty for keeping it on a wall hanger. So yeah, that's not a good combination, especially with bird's eye maple necks that are not roasted. You got to be careful how to store them. Yep. Sad story.
Oh. Well, it may be sad the first time. Now I'm positively miserable.
I feel sorry.
Wow.
Do you have any wildcard guesses for gear that might skyrocket in value?
My initial tip was the John Mayer Strat, mainly because Strats hold their value, and I'm thinking of way in the future now. So we've already covered it, but that's my go-to. Also, I think just generally it's the signature models. As I've brought up the Explorer earlier. Anything signature that's limited edition or not even limited edition. Imagine. I'm just thinking, what about Polyphia's AZ? What about Tim's AZ?
Good guess. I mean, it definitely stands out.
The reason I say so is because their music certainly appeals to a younger audience, as well as older. But people that are of the age that are listening to the music may not be able to afford their AZ right now.
Mm-hmm.
Put them 25 years in the future, where they're parents or in a good job, a good, well-paying job. Maybe they want to relive their youth, as I did with the Kurt Cobain Jagstang, the Fender Jagstang, which I bought. I actually made a small profit on that, I think, because I sold it again. It was, I had it. It wasn't doing anything for me, and it turns out as a collector, the chase was more enjoyable than the actual result. So I think something like. So I'm picking on that AZ from Tim particularly because I want to say something that is a signature guitar that is appealing to young people right now that may not be able to afford it. So I'm not talking like a 400, 500 euro guitar that could be affordable. I'm talking about something that's just slightly out of range.
Yeah. Good point. The only reason why that might not be the case could be that it's a Asian made, like it's made in Indonesia, and usually the country of origin is quite a big factor when it comes to the value stability over time. So
absolutely,
for instance, if we take for instance the TQM1 or the MM1, the Martin Miller or Tom Quayle signature models, these are made in Japan and they are already like top notch within the AZ range. So once these guitars should get discontinued at a certain point of time, they will be missed because for instance, the Miller was this or is the sole guitar that has a. Whoop! Hello, Siri. Nope. The Miller is still the sole guitar that has a mahogany body. So if you want like AZ, so if you want a kind of Les Paul approach, but with the playability of an AZ, there's only the Miller. Plus, it's got a beautiful finish, and every single piece is unique. So that will also be a wildcard guess. But this is a very current model because it's still being produced. And when it comes to the value development, the period of production is quite significant. So if there was a guitar like the Gem 7V, for instance, that was produced for 26 years, 26 years-ish, there are so many in the market. They might differ. You've had ebony fretboard, you've got rosewood fretboard, you've got the low pro edge, you've got the original edge. It's the configuration changes over time, but the market is flooded. You find them everywhere. You find them in the States, you find them in Europe, you find them in Asia. But here's the thing: if you are, for instance, in the market for a 7-string, there's only one Jam with a monkey grip. The rest was universes. So if you would be interested in investing, for instance, in a Jam, I would go for the 7V7 because that was the sole Jam. Yeah, the sole Jam that came out as a 7-string. All the other 7-string by signature guitars were universes. They had no monkey grip. They didn't have the Tree of Life inlay. So that, for instance, would be a great guess and maybe a good investment item. And that's been off the market already quite some time. So if you're looking for a 7-string Ibanez by signature, go for that guitar. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could sit here and come up with some more, but I think we've really sort of, I can't say nailed, that would be a bit arrogant, but I think we've laid down some ground rules of investing. A question we haven't, that I'd like to pose to you is, signature models such as the Lizzie Hale Explorer from Epiphone.
Okay.
There's the Gibson version, which is already expensive and already not rare but desirable, or maybe it's transcended into rare right now. But is an Epiphone level guitar that's a signature guitar going to be desirable at some point? Because Epiphone, let's say Squire as well, there's the Squire Venus, which was related, designed, something created by Courtney Love of Kurt Cobain and Hole fame. They're now reaching double what they were originally, and I want one. So that's a Squire. And also, Squire recently reissued the Supersonic. An original Supersonic is now roughly double what it was. Because I was going to say that it has to, I think we're not really touching on the more budget brands, but even those, we're not talking about selling it for 3,000, 4,000, some crazy amount, but we're talking about selling it for more than what you paid for it. I don't know, man. It's just something I wanted to bring up. I think not to overlook the cheaper guitars is what I'm saying. Yeah.
I mean, there was, for instance, there was a Epiphone / Les Paul, like the very first one that had the snake on the body.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Like the smoking snake.
Yes.
I think that increased significantly in price too. That was a rather cheap guitar made in China or made in Korea. I'm not sure. And because of its rarity and also because it was so special, that was really kind of a standout instrument, and people were looking for that. Especially because all the other / signature guitars that were kind of unique and not like standard production, they were much more pricey. They were like 10K or 8K, like the Bolivian Les Paul or all those kind of models. So occasionally there are some models, but to me personally, when it comes to like the stability and also the increase and development of the value, I think a certain quality level and also a specific country of origin is always a good indicator. And made in Japan, made in USA, that's still a sign for quality. It's not a proof for quality. It's not sure that you will have a perfect instrument, but it's also
it's an indication. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I agree, but I also have to disagree because it's. What I'm saying is I'd be willing to take a chance because I think that when you buy an Epiphone, for example, or a Squire, it goes down in price immediately. So if you try and sell it the week later, you're going to lose at least $100. Mm-hmm. Even if it's mint, as people try to put them up for. If it's there's so many that I've played. Like some in the chat, people are bringing up Joe Bonamassa, and somebody, Music Therapy Laz has a Richie Faulkner Flying V Epiphone, which is worth more than what he paid for it 2 years ago. I think timing. I agree with you, Dan, on choosing the more expensive items first, but timing with the lower priced instruments might be the key to making a profit. Maybe not double, but a profit. And also, people undersell those guitars all the time. So someone might sell a Joe Bonamassa Epiphone Les Paul thinking it's just a Les Paul Epiphone, So people make mistakes, and the ethics of that is questionable, but yeah, you can pick something up on there. I'll tell you what, my friend, we are reaching almost 2.5 hours of podcasting, and
oh my gosh,
we are burning through people's mobile phone batteries. So,
shall we close with a couple of recommendations where people can go to check out for used gears, at least in Europe?
Yes, please. We'll go for Europe.
Because there are a couple good stores. Do you have any recommendations from your side?
I've got. Well, I don't know if it's an investment thing, but it's Guitar Point, which you probably know, may even be on your list. I've been there.
That's in Germany, Maintal, Germany, guitarpoint.de.
Yeah, guitarpoint.de. The guys there are awesome. They really know their stuff, firstly. They only take on high-quality instruments. They're not just. It's not like a guitar center where they're buying used stuff and flogging it for profit. They are buying good stuff. They will buy refins. But of course that affects the price, of course. But they're mostly interested in as original as possible, and even shy away from the refins. So I was there. I played the best Jazzmaster I've ever played in my life. Nearly one of the best guitars I've ever played in my life. It was $5,000. I didn't have the money. I don't have the money. I know that was a good investment, because Jazzmasters can really vary, as all guitars can. But Jazzmasters, this was just the perfect one. But it would have been a collection, not an investment. I would have played that.
All right.
Yeah, that's my point. Guitar Point.
Guitar Point, okay. Another good dealer is Bigfoot Guitars, also a German dealer, quite new in the business, but they are like buying also used gear, and they are making sure that it's all very nicely set up and everything. So that's a good address. I actually bought one guitar there, and the service was excellent. So good recommendation. Do you have anyone else?
We have in the chat some people, including Sarang, has mentioned Sell My Gem. It's a website for Ibanez gems and rare RGs. Very good. Right. I'm actually also going to recommend things like Facebook Marketplace and your local classified whatever, because you're probably really betting on people making mistakes there. So people listing something for less than it's worth. And on that, people with fat fingers, eBay listings that are like Feneder or even Reverb, where it's not Fender, it's Feneder, or Gisbon, where someone's mistyped it. So if people are searching for a Gibson, they're not finding a Gisbon, and you can pick up something there. Never happened for me, but I have done it in the past and searched, and it is out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. We just we were sometimes making fun out of the most hilarious classified ads with Ibanez content. So I think a couple of days ago there was a Kranes acoustic guitar, like KR Anes.
Oh, they couldn't read the logo.
The IB, yeah. Also funny. What I find funny is a 7-ender. You see that all the time for Fender guitars.
7-ender
because the F is is mirrored. Yeah. So typos.
Typos, yeah, go for typos. What else would I recommend? Befriending old people.
Oh, Andy going dark.
No, people need friendship.
Yeah. Actually, there are a couple more dealers. There's a Dutch guy called Remco. He's got a site, RJV Guitars. It's also a good address. I think compared to his prices, he's a little bit pricier than others. But like he travels throughout whole Europe just to collect the best guitars. So he always has some unique items. And also there's a German blues guitarist, a very good guitarist called Gregor Hilden, and he's got a website called Greg's Guitars. Mm-hmm. And I really like to purchase instruments from good guitarists because they usually can, evaluate if an instrument is really good or not. So, I mean, it will reflect in price, that's for sure. But at least if they, they promise you something and you test the instrument, then you can expect to get something in return for your investment. And we're all investing in emotions, basically. We talked about making a profit and making money with guitars, but I think the best profit you can have is to be happy and be satisfied and appreciative about making music. Isn't that right?
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't still thinking about that jazz master.
I was actually trying to make a point and come to a conclusion for this episode, but unfortunately you missed it. I'm very sorry.
I'm sorry. I got there because I was emotionally invested in that guitar. That was, I was linking to what you said. I want to say thanks, Dan, because I've learned stuff from you, and I know I would always come to you when I saw something, certainly Ibanez related, but also anything like, what do you think of this, as a friend and a person who knows what he's talking about, and as an investment guru, which
nah, not really.
Yeah, what I say is, you know a lot more than I do, and therefore you're my guru. Never be the best musician in the room, So yeah, thank you to the people in the chat and the people that have watched and listened live. I've really enjoyed myself. I love doing this podcast. I know that we'll be back next week. Dan, would you like to announce our special guests for next week?
Oh yeah, it will be a female artist, a rock chick. They just currently released a new album together with a Croatian guitarist. We're not quite sure if we have both on the show, but at least her. And it's a reoccurring guest. We had her on the show already. Do you want to...
Damn, you're cryptic. Yeah, it's Gemma Jura and Ellen Brentini from Something on 11. They're going to be joining us always, technically providing and stuff like that, and the world doesn't burn by next week. We'll be here with Jen, which I know Valeria will be very happy with because she runs the Gemma Jura fan club in Chile. Guitar Stories podcast on the Guitar Geek YouTube channel. I was going to say network then, above my station. 8:30 next Tuesday, Dan.
Yeah, and if any one of you wants to do us a favor, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, because that will push the podcast in the ratings, in the rankings up, so it's more visible and people can see it, and we can get in touch with more people, because this is basically what we love, to communicate with you guys. So we do it for you. We don't do it for money or fame. We do it just for the community. So thanks for listening. Thanks, Andy, for your time. Always a pleasure. You do it for money? Okay, fair enough.
No, the community. Yeah, sorry, I just had a... I'd like to ask, if you're in the chat right now, please give a thumbs up on the video, because of the same reasons Dan just mentioned for the audio podcast version, and leave a comment of the favorite thing that you think that might be worth something in the future in the comments section, not just in the chat, but in the comments section, so we can get some more views on this video, because the more views, the more times we can do this, and I can justify the time to my family. I love it, Dan. I love you all. Thank you so much. I will press buttons and stop this. We have an outro video, and if you're brand new, then subscribe to the channel and smash that like button.
Yeah. Have a geeky week, guys.
All right.
See you
Bye.
soon.
Guitar Stories Podcast, your #1 show for everything guitar.